Welcome to part 2 of our Archi-Tech Tour of Studio Tim Fu, where we sit down with Tim himself and talk through the rise of AI, as well as Tim's personal rise of working a couple years ago at Zaha to today running his own firm and the trials and tribulations of starting your own practice. If you didn't catch part 1 of our tour, you can go back and check out the actual tour around his office. Otherwise, let's jump into it and have a chat with Tim.
I'm Tim Fu. I'm director of Studio Tim Fu here located in London, and this is my office. Welcome.
Thank you for having us, man. I've not seen your space before. We were just saying how long you've been here. It's been, a little over a year and a bit, right?
Yeah, things moved quite fast. Started out just working remotely and then established a firm. And now we're about 10 people and works just keep coming. So pretty happy about it.
Yeah. Let's start off by talking about that, like rewind to basically just over 2 years ago. You left Zaha in the middle of the kind of AI boom in a way. Mid-Journey, like V4 or 3 or 4 was
3 even at the time, yeah.
There was definitely like that crazy excitement. Now you're sitting here in a studio, 10 people plus the office dog.
Yeah.
Just like, how has that journey been in a broad kind of overview?
Yeah, I mean, to sum it up, it is a bit of research, bit of architectural design, and a bit of entrepreneurship, and learning the ropes of the different aspects that's required to get a firm going up and running, dealing with finances, hiring different experts in different fields, consultants, and client relations. Yeah, the whole spiel. So step by step, we're learning as we go.
Yeah, you've definitely been on an entrepreneur's boot camp because this happens so fast, right?
Very tiring. Learned a lot. Realized there's so many things we don't learn in architecture school, but you get to learn eventually.
Let's rewind to I don't know how much you've talked about it that much, but talk about that transition from leaving Zaha to starting your own thing. I know you've told me the story personally, but how did that happen and unfold that?
Yeah, so the story started when I discovered AI, and as you know, that's during the Midjourney version 3. That was during my time still at Zaha Hadid Architects in a computational research cluster with Shajay Bhushan. And the ethos of that company was using technology to drive design in many ways and figuring out what are the potentials of what we can do with new technologies. So as technologies emerge, we're always sort of very much jumping on to see what's the possibilities. They were running things also with metaverse, with blockchains, with gamification, with configurators. And for me, I was specializing in parametric design and facade rationalization and that sort of expertise. So the side of what I focus on is getting, organic Maya models, mesh models, and figuring out how to implement a parametric strategy to actually construct it. So the goal that I always had was rationalize and implement.
Yeah.
And so when AI came, it kind of developed a lot of designs and ideas that was really fluid, much like the Maya geometries that we would receive on our team to rationalize. So I was like, okay, this is filling that sort of ability of being able to generate, but rationalize requires that human intervention. So I started to combine my expertise of thinking about it from a rational perspective, how to bring that to construction, how to modularize and get these things constructible. And so that was a nice expertise I was getting into that already marries very well into the AI paradigm of design. So that's what inspired me to continue pursuing this AI journey, in which day by day I researched the technology, what AI can do, starting with visual diffusion models, and from there on, how to rationalize, started teaching courses. And that's just how we start, how I did it while still around the time working for Zaha Hadid. But over time, I grew a lot of momentum in trying to do things my own ways. Outside of office hours, I was really investing in a lot of research on my own time. So started to build a body of work and research that began to also teach, as you know,
Yeah.
began to showcase to the world. And so I thought we could do a lot more with this. So I left the office in order to pursue that goal and, let that be a driving ethos for a new company. So here we are today.
Yeah. I think it was kind of interesting during that time. You're working, but at the same time you start to grow this big online following, and I feel like that moment was really like the AI wave. And I think out of everyone I know, you kind of rode that AI wave in a really perfect way. I think it's like, do you look back? It's like it's always the right time, right moment kind of thing. And you only realize that.
So this is what it is, right? I think with all these successful moments, it is a bit of the right timing, but a bit of the right approach,
Yeah.
and a bit of the forward thinking of what you can develop your momentum into something bigger than what it currently is. So I've always tried to figure out how to expand the approach to something bigger, because I was looking further, much further than what's currently in front of me. And for example, everyone had access to these AI technologies at the time. Everyone was texting and doing these AI images. So already there was a battlefront of, showcasing your own designs based off of what you can do with the technology. So from that competitive arena, I showcased my design ethos a lot more aligned to Zaha Hadid's at the time. And, it garnered a lot of people's attention. And I moved past showcasing these things, even outcompeting the many other Zaha Hadid architects peers who are also doing the same thing as me. But I wanted to grow that further. So I stood out by constantly producing that direction until I started showcasing technology and research. And there's some stuff that's a bit more contained within my domain of expertise. And that allowed me to showcase from a more technical perspective how to, bring this technology to fruition in actual construction. And so that was definitely one of those challenges of how to bring something from a trend into an actual practice. And step by step, I can go on, but each of the step, I did something a bit different. I innovated and ended up being a practice and a movement at this stage.
Talk about that journey from leaving. I'm sure did you leave and immediately start up the studio? How did you find your first clients? Like, where did that first momentum come from?
Yeah, I think in order to establish your own studio, you definitely have to have some confidence in your momentum already.
Yeah.
There has to be some assurances. And I've gotten a certain degree of assurances, both from, already having the momentum and already propagated a lot of my materials globally and having some following, as well as industry technologists and experts in my network. And so there are people that I can rely on. And there's also financial safety nets. For example, I regularly teach. I was an adjunct professor at a university. I did conferences, which paid me as well on the side. And I also began to work on small projects that are kind of concept and visual based. And also there's other industries like advertisements and things that really wanted to utilize my capabilities in the wider range of the creative industry. There's even like a design a film set for a concept film set for a film that was upcoming. I did some fashion related collaborations. So I expanded our possibilities by embracing the different disciplines as long as we're using AI and design. So that created that financial safety net for me to be comfortable in establishing my own firm and continuing from there. And of course, then comes the bigger clients. They took note. They took note because I started publishing my bigger ambitions at the time. I was by myself after Zaha Hadid. I was showcasing large scale, urban scale or architectural scale potentials with AI. And I think that caught the eye of a few very prominent individuals who are either, billionaire from conglomerates or wealthy royal families somewhere in the Middle East. And these type of people really are very ambitious. They look at technologies like AI and they understand the future and the implications of embracing it. So being somewhat very tied to the technology of AI and our growth, that allowed us to be shown in the algorithm if they search us. So I think there's a sort of, branding strategy involved in that process as well. But it's from there that we're beginning to obtain these type of key clients in which we are working on consistently throughout the phase, even to today.
That's a few follow-up questions I think that you touched on are really interesting. One, do you feel how many of those initial clients came from social media, for example? Was it all, or then it was sort of you went out and did more traditional biz dev kind of thing? And the second point you also raised is having a bit of like cash in some way to jump off and do these things. You always hear people just quit your job tomorrow and then start, but a lot of people do that, and you just got like nothing. So yeah, was there some planning in that, and how important is it to have that big following nowadays to create and connect with?
These are really pertinent, great questions. I will start by saying that financially, everyone's situation is different. I think, like, my family don't do business. I came from skilled immigrants, moving from China to Canada, and I further immigrated from Canada to here in London. Yeah. So I'm by myself. There is no financial backbone. There is nothing. So from my end, I had to make sure that there is a stable income to support the process. So I had to make sure that was the case. But you do need that financial backing because there are important investments to be made, and you can't be stingy about these things. So if I needed to hire freelancers, I need to do that. If I needed to hire assistants or accountants and any sort of consultants, these are things that will enable your long-term growth. It's investment that is well put. So I don't shy away from making those big investments. This office, Central London, is one of the most expensive offices I could find. I don't shy away from that either. Even though we are a startup, I do believe in the long-term future of what we are. So I just went right here, downtown, Oxford Circus. That's where this office deserves to be. And that has a sort of branding and all the implications as well. So financial investment, absolutely necessary. So yeah, the funny thing is for us, I really believe firmly that all of our clients come from either watching us on televisions. We've done some actual series and shows. And then there's also from podcasts such as these that I do with you or other podcasters and YouTubers. But also from our main following, our platforms, which is Instagram and LinkedIn. And it's there that we really showcase the core of what we do. Instagram being design oriented, we just showcase the visuals. So they are a portfolio of our work. And also LinkedIn, which showcases the more technical aspects of our approach. So that is a portfolio of our technical developments. And so these things really gets picked up by the algorithm. And many of the clients, especially in the Middle East, you would be surprised. They scroll Instagram all day. And then next thing I know, I'm in a design, share it with like 10 other firms in the Middle East. And half of them are Instagram, viral architecture firms. And we work on these mega projects together. And it's quite incredible. But this is the digital era where ideas and information gets completely proliferated through these platforms. So it's crucial to take advantage.
So if there's a young person listening who wants to start their own practice, following, in your opinion, is pretty important.
I just speak from my experience, I think everyone's type of success is different. It's just from my experience, in my situation, it was absolutely needed because if you think about architecture, so many things require you to do a certain way, and the progress is slow. If you do not get yourself out there through the different mediums, then you're going to have to follow the traditional structure of growth, which is going to be quite slow for architects.
Fast forward to today, you now have your own firm, Studio Tim Fu. How would you describe Studio Tim Fu? What is different about your architecture practice than a normal practice?
Yeah, I think a lot of things are different. I think really we're probably one of the most unique architecture firms, I would say hands down, just because of the embrace that we took with AI. I really think this technology is nothing short of a revolution, and we've embraced it holistically from design decisions to explorations to generations, rendering to resource management to client discussions to summarizing our daily minutes to every operations that we think of where it could come in handy, we have explored it, and we're open to exploring further how it can take over other aspects of our career. But one thing that a lot of people are apprehensive about is it taking over the creative side. And I'm just gonna obviously have to put a disclaimer that none of the important creative aspect is being replaced. In fact, we find it boosts our creativity, because when the AI operations take over the non-creative aspects, the production side of our task, we found ourselves to be more freed to think creatively, to actually focus on the human value aspects of a project. So I think it actually enabled us to be more creative. Henceforth, the projects that we deliver has higher creative output, higher creative problem solving and solutions, which is now then optimized by different technical parameters and feasibility and sustainable parameters as well. So at the end of the day, the client receives the results. They do see that quality being derived from enabling AI in the process. So absolutely, that's fundamentally why we believe in AI, and our office is structured for enabling that process. That's one thing that makes us different. And also, if you talk about even the way we hire people, we have international design competitions that, for example, we sponsor Parametric architecture to be able to scout talents that are especially uniquely able to speak to AI, as we call it. Machine learning whisperers, if you will. Yeah, there's a lot of terminologies we pass around because, things don't exist prior to this era.
Yeah. So you also do like a sort of hackathon hiring.
Yeah, we've began to exclusively hire from doing design hackathons. Yeah. So nowadays, thanks to the internet, a lot of junior potential employees, they really want to join our firm and explore the frontier of AI. Mm-hmm. So when we put an ad, we got about 300 potential applicants. They all want to join. We see their portfolio, and then we pick out a small group of people, and we take them to the office, and then we give them very specialized tasks for them to do. Some of them AI, some of them problem solving, and certain curveballs and challenges. How do they think on their feet? And finally, presentation. How do they communicate their ideas? And how they sketch with their hands. The human aspect is extremely crucial. So we're really just trying to create a think tank of humans that encapsulates human aspects of the talent in order to facilitate use of AI. And that's one aspect that I think is unique to us.
Yeah, it's seems like an interesting process, and actually quite applicable. You can actually test people's skills. Like a lot of people hire people before they actually work with them in some way. So it's kind of an interesting way to get a flavor of working with someone.
Absolutely, yeah.
Let's unpick a little bit more the kind of AI practice side. Like, is there something? Because this is something I've been debating myself. Like, on one hand, I've seen a lot of this stuff is somewhat surface level. It's like a lot still image generation. People are kind of like, it's the tip of the iceberg that people are kind of obsessing over. For you, do you see like a major area where you're seeing incredible gains, whether it's like, yeah, just simply replacing, let's call it the viz side, the production side, so you spend more time designing? Is it more on something in the back end where you're like using LLMs to kind of go through briefs and pick out and like the more boring stuff, or just write your emails for you? I always break it down into the creative versus the process side of things, but is there one area you see that's really unlocks a lot of value? Or is it like a holistic?
So I think there's one unique approach that we're currently developing with our clients is this whole master configurator process. And that is a process that has been, traditionally explored through parametric modeling and configurator processes. But I think that process is now super powered by AI because large language models can sort of pick out a lot more ideas, and this black box can just interpret simple natural language, and somehow cross-modality gives you an output that is spatial. Like we have our SDF labs, which is our research team, and currently we're developing this process with UrbanGPT, is what we're currently calling it, but probably need to rename it. We're using, APIs from OpenAI or DeepSeek and all these competitors, and we're exploring how to bring that large language model directly connecting with the parametric workflow and developing configurators for urban planning, configurations of massing, and then configurations of topologies. So each topology they could generate anew, and then we bring that process into diffusion rendering process. So everything is all linked up, and we're able to produce master plan as a package in a very short amount of time. So that is, I think, one of the many ways that we find it very rewarding, and that doesn't even touch upon the optimizations that we can accomplish with these configurators, because the essence is you get to control the configurators, but you can also, while you're controlling from a design perspective, you can allow criteria to control it from a feasibility perspective. It can optimize for certain area usage, and for daylighting, you could bring weather data into that and specifically configure that based off of those requirements. And I think we are seeing that convergence of allowing environmental considerations to holistically control this design process alongside human intervention in this new paradigm of this this environment that is created from large language model and parametric configurators. And we're developing that process right now with key clients. So hopefully that this is a long-term solution that can be deployed in various projects.
That's definitely, I was going to ask you about that. That was my most interesting thing I've seen you guys put out there, was that kind of ChatGPT configurator where you're typing in and it's playing with the master plan. This is what's really exciting me recently, is like Rhino MCP and like connecting LLMs to actual modeling processes. That to me is getting really exciting.
Yeah, and right now what also makes us unique is we're partnering with big industries, big AI guys such as NVIDIA, Lenovo. They've sponsored us, giving us their GPUs and machines, some previously undisclosed things as well. We have like access to those things, and we're working collaboratively on this and potential projects later on as well, including some exhibitions. So we're hoping to push that technology further with the new GPU processors, because it's kind of like a new paradigm of computation as well. So we want to see how bring AI inferencing to the next level. What's that going to do to pre-train models off of architectural database? Every day that technology is growing, and every day large language model is growing. So even just picking back off of that pipeline, our ability to develop our tool sets increases alongside their developments.
One question we always ask people, and I think this is kind of a good point, you talked about hiring and also you're working on all these different things. What are the guys upstairs using on a day-to-day basis? Is it kind of like you still have your traditional tools, the Rhinos, the Grasshoppers, Revit, that kind of stuff, as well as these new tools? How do you find, are they still there, the traditional tools? What's the mix? Like, what are these guys using upstairs?
Yeah, the answer is yes to almost everything. I think the only thing that we've decreased is probably the degree of ray tracing, rendering type of task. We found that to be the traditional way and quite exhaustive of resource. And one of the biggest jump is replacing traditional rendering methods with AI diffusion rendering methods. And it's very different now because we're in the paradigm of using that method to create instead of to render. So we are creating different facade textures, materials, different time of day, different facade expressions, change the window, change the entry into another design, hallucinate a new solution for me locally. So it's in the paradigm of design as well as rendering. And so that is fundamentally different. 3D models, we use mostly Rhino, bit of Maya, and Revit is something we get into at a later stage. CAD drawings, we do pump them out from Rhino as well.
What about good old Grasshopper?
Grasshopper, it's integral to us, absolutely. Grasshopper never goes away. I think there's nothing more, central to the progress of parametric design than Grasshopper, and which is why we're adapting large language model components directly built into Grasshopper.
Yeah. You of course come from that computational world, so.
Yeah.
Actually, we just had Patrick Schumacher on the podcast, and we talked about the parametric era versus the AI era. Now, we've been fortunate to live through both, although we were a bit younger at the time. But what do you think? We talked about, is the AI era as impactful as the parametric era from a design perspective? And what was interesting about that was, I kind of agree with his perspective that the parametric era unlocked more design, new design stuff. It was a completely new design paradigm. Whereas the AI era, I don't necessarily see new designs I've never seen before. I've seen more designs, like more parametric stuff. And it seems like a bit more of a productivity boost. Would you agree with that? Would you challenge that?
That's interesting. So he said that.
Yeah. Which do you know what I mean? I don't see necessarily AIs creating things I've never seen before, whereas in the parametric era, it did in a way. It's like suddenly you got all this, complicated parametric
I think
geometry.
I get where he's coming from. They are different beasts, but fundamentally, globally speaking, AI is definitely a global revolution of humanity, much more substantial than parametric. That is causing a design movement. AI is beyond that. It's a humanitarian movement. It's everything. Now, even just talking about processes, that's fundamentally changed, and that is not specifically pertaining to design. Now, if we want to talk about design, let's bring back to the design frame. Yes, parametric design has ushered in various forms that are what you could call, parametric, such as, what do you call it? Gradient distributions, those type of things.
Adaptive facades, like all that kind of stuff.
Adaptive facades, panelizations. You could talk about modularization. You could talk about geometries that are sort of biomorphic, like Voronoi structures and all those, or waffle structure for, parametric pavilion assemblies and interlocking systems, tensegrity structures. Sure, there's like a lot of that, but I think all of that has predecessors. They have ancestors. And even if they don't have it in the artificial world, they have it in the organic world. Like circle packing, bubble formations with Frey altos, or you can think about the even for Voronoi structure, for example, like you find in nature or fractal systems, like all these systems do exist. Like nature is parametric, right?
Yeah.
And bottom line. So yeah, there is a ability for us to compute the way that nature computes to develop these design strategies. But if you think about it, if those strategies exist in nature, I can use AI to say, create this artificial column structure reminiscent of a tree, because tree is already bioorganic and has fractal systems. I could name patterns in nature and allow forms to generate to bring these two design concepts together. So I think in some ways, yeah, AI could do those things in its own right, but it's a different approach. I think there's a sort of misunderstanding that AI diffusion models is just regurgitating data that already exists.
Yeah.
But what I see is like a chessboard. It's kind of like you only have a certain amount of chess pieces, but it depends on the player. Everybody gets to play an infinite amount of games with infinite possibility. It depends on the player, much like a tool as simple as a camera is just a bunch of electronics put together, but everybody can take hold of that tool and generate something new out of it. And so far, we challenge ourselves to generate things out of it more creatively. And again, that brings back to me surviving that platform in my early stages. I was trying to always take a step ahead and beyond what everybody else can generate. When everybody was doing interiors, when things were still chaotic, I was challenging myself to do exteriors. And that time it was very difficult to control. So I had a lot of strategies to contain and control. So always work with the limitations, but push beyond it. And that was my ethos throughout, even to today. And I found it to be quite liberating because I have not found a glass ceiling of possibilities yet. It's just so far, whatever we set out to accomplish, we accomplish. If we can't do it directly with pure text prompting AI, sure, we can use parametric tools to develop a certain framework, and then we'll bring it to AI and continue hallucinate on top of it. We interlay different technologies together. We still see AI like a tool like any others. So I think there's a lot more possibilities. And a lot of people that speak on that subject of AI, I do think see it from a more shallow perspective of looking at it as a text to image generator.
Yeah.
And that is kind of like the red herring. As a company that we've been developing far beyond that for 2 years now, we know it's a lot more, and we will prove that it will be a lot more even further as technology further develops.
Yeah, for sure. It's like the tip of the iceberg, right? But do you feel it's for you guys then? You feel like it's unlocked new designs you kind of wouldn't be able to create without it, or it's just democratized that, so you don't necessarily have to be. People don't have to be like expert Grasshopper users or computation designers. They can kind of work with AI and get that faster. Do you think there's something in that?
Well, so okay. If you think about it from that perspective, parametric designs, whatever they come out, a chair that's parametric, yeah, we could have sculpted it before parametric design was a thing.
Yeah, true.
So, yeah, anything that could be thought out with AI could be thought out without. It isn't opening doors to impossibilities that became possible. It's here to facilitate rapid design and more broader explorations of design, deeper explorations, more considerate explorations, allowing us to focus on the human-centric elements. I think all of these things already pre-exist AI, but that also pre-exists computational design. And all these tools so far just enables, more accuracy, enable us to deploy these accuracies on the fabrication stage, digital fabrication stage, which allows us to build it. So yeah, from a buildable perspective, parametric has made a bigger impact, but let's see, time will tell, because I think AI is going to take over the construction industry. We could talk about automated drone assemblies, talk about robotics fabrication, or automated robot construction workers even, think a bit more sci-fi. I think all that will enable us to do things we can't normally. If you're going to build a moon base up in space, I would rather deploy, prototypers in space to do that than a team of humans. And I think if you're going to talk about the future of what AI unlocks, it will substantially be greater than something like parametric design itself.
What's your view on where we are now with the AI space, particularly in we'll stay AEC or architecture. Where do you feel we are now? I feel we've been through some booms, I wouldn't say busts, but some mini lulls, and then this new things comes out. Where do we sit now? What's your view?
We are scratching the surface of a technology that is going through an exponential growth. And we do feel ahead by being the pioneers of it. But even we feel like we're scratching the surface of what's possible. So the average company is scratching the surface of the surface, which is using AI for upscaling or style transferring to do your basic stuff.
Just image side, right?
Image related things first, but also using ChatGPT. And I think at least I started to see a lot of interesting things that other architecture companies are doing with ChatGPT. I like Martha from Foster. I think I co-paneled her like 4 or 5 times already, but she always showcases how large language model in Foster is dealing with like legality stuff as well. I think that's pretty cool, and we are doing that as well. We began to allow a large language model to actually follow a project along its entire course of development and make some key decisions with us alongside the clients and the local consultants. So I think you can just really inject AI in so many processes at this point. But yeah, our pioneering, excelling aspect is using AI for the technical parameterization and optimization, and also design. I do think it boils down to human intentions and human design being superpowered by AI.
Let's touch on the business side a little bit. You've obviously been through a bit of a whirlwind of learning the kind of maybe less sexy side of starting your own business, entrepreneurship. How's that been? What are some of your key takeaways from learning to be an entrepreneur?
I mean, you'd be surprised how many things you feel like you should have learned in architecture school. But they won't prepare you to be a CEO so soon. I mean, I didn't expect it. This is all sort of came out of the blue. I take it 1 month at a time, 1 year at a time. I realize the potential to expand, so I expand. I realize the potential for growth, so I grow. And here we are. So we learn about how to manage an office. We learn about what type of projects you should be getting. We learn about how to continually proliferate your company's branding through these things that we do on social media and showcasing our projects and design ethos. We also learn to engage with different key clients and also manage office finances. How do we survive as a company of 10 here in downtown London? It's definitely got its challenges, but at the end of the day, delivering quality projects and design will sell, and that's all you need. You need one client that has the funding, and you need one project that show them that you can do everything that they expect and desired and more, and you'll have a key client that will continually support your process. And I do believe at the end of the day, quality speaks for itself, and we do not really go out there to do salesman things. Like, we never do client acquisition related tasks. Clients, they all come to us. We do not ever do competitions. We don't do client outreach. They come to us. We just show them our portfolio of what we already do. We let them work with us for a week, a month, and the work will speak for itself, which is why we expand so fast, because it's the solid designs that we accomplish through that process that keeps our clients and grow new clients.
That's interesting. So you're not spending too much of your time chasing biz dev, is what people typically call it.
Yeah. I mean, I will consider near zero, unless you consider things like me going to conferences and talks. I do that for brand exposure.
Yeah.
Like we're spending time here. It's also for brand exposure, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, outside of that, we just sit ourselves in front of our desk and we work.
And it goes from there. So this is actually one of my other challenges, or like sites, is I think one of the biggest disruptions we've seen of AI in our industry and maybe in many other industries is actually it's hypercharged our ability to market ourselves as an architect or brand ourselves. For example, for you to have created the projects that you created, let's say before the AI era, it would have taken you weeks to create a product, even if you were very fast and very good, to model something, quickly rendering it in a good way, get it out there. It took you, let's say, days or weeks. With the use of AI, it's enabled architects to create ideas very quickly. We've gone from, let's say, days or weeks to hours or minutes and hours.
Yeah.
It's maybe a little bit exaggerated, but and then what's that enabled us to do as architects is to feed these algorithms of social media, build up an audience, which is how you're able to find a client or two. Whereas before, that process would have been incredibly slow, and you go through the more traditional route of competitions and finding clients like that. Do you think that's true? Is that maybe one of the less talked about benefits for our industry?
I think it has a time and a place, and we might have passed that already because now everybody's going to produce AI visuals very quickly.
Yeah.
But what I do see is that it reduces production time. So what I noticed during that time when I was expanding on my work to get followers, for example, is that yes, everybody can access the same technology and a bunch of text in output designs. So what we're actually showcasing isn't so much specifically how we artfully do a certain design that we already have, but the breadth of control and judgment. So as an architect, you don't just show how well you form and produce a design, you also showcase your taste, your curation. So by merely having a portfolio of curated AI visuals, it is in a way broadcasting your stylistic choices, your ethos, your beliefs for design. And I think, to me, I see it more as that, a portfolio of my taste, what I developed from Zaha and since then. And the other guys during the time doing AI, they also each had their own taste and their own ideas. So yeah, Instagram is one way. It's a portfolio showcasing, as a designer, what are your tastes? Same thing as how photographers on Instagram showcases. They all showcase photography, but some are going to be more successful than others.
Yeah.
You need consistency, you need style, you need to have a sort of resonance to the audience.
Exactly. That's a really good way to put it. It's like it sort of hyper speeded you getting your brand, what you're about, your philosophy out there. Whereas before it would have taken a lot longer.
Yeah. And even traditionally, I think it's the same goal. Architects, in some ways, are like artists. You have a style, you have a method, you have a value system. If it's not formalist visual styles, it could be sustainability or specific niche within technology. Whatever it is, there's a catch, right? You're not just someone that produces everything possible all at once. You do have a catch. And everybody's brand awareness comes from those little elements.
Yeah.
So it could be physical, it could be technological, it could be design. And for me, for the longest time, it's been design. It's just been starting from the bedrocks of Zaha Hadid's design and ethos that I try to echo through my early designs with AI, and then how I moved and shifted that into my own aesthetics and visuals. And from there, started to shape actual projects that we have in development.
From a business side, have you found your practice or AI has unlocked a new business case for architecture? For example, do you feel you're able to do projects with less people, therefore more profitable, more productive?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's opened up new industries. Like you said, you're working in fashion industry, but yeah, are there any interesting business cases?
Yeah, I
practice?
mean, what it helps me is, I mean, this is one of the reason I feel I'm taking advantage of this AI era because I'm starting a business in this AI era. I get to evaluate business decisions based off of this new technology.
Yeah.
And I have made decisions that I wouldn't have made if it wasn't for AI. For example, I mean, I've been exploring different organizational structure in the company. And now I found out that a lot of the people that I thought that had a lot of experience was very valuable and necessary, but sometimes you could give that away for the sake of having junior talents because there's different phases of design and certain phases. As long as you have the seniors, architects, they guide the process. A lot of the times you'll find the juniors adapt better to new technologies such as AI, and we really excel by hiring predominantly a younger crew of people.
So would you say they're then also more productive because of AI, or they're just...
So because of AI, we hire them. They're more productive. AI is more productive, and our team is also more cost effective compared to a team of seniors and managers. We're not there yet. I do think human hierarchy has a flaw, right? Like you create a corporate structure, you hierarchize your whole systems. There's going to be inefficiencies. I do think the bigger team your office is, the more inefficiencies it will come up.
Yeah.
And this is just human to human flaw. Like this is human being unable to function as well as a hive mind of brain cells. Like we're human, we still have limitations, which is where AI comes in and sort of lubricates the whole communication, lubricates the whole collaboration between different nodes that we are. So I'm waiting for the day for us humans to be kind of like the workers fixing the pipeline and AI being the pipeline, going from design to construction and to the later stages. And I see ourselves as the maintenance workers, making sure that the pipeline is good and working well.
Okay. Yeah. What about any downfalls? Like, have you come across any downfalls of AI, either in your practice or just observing outside of the industry? Any downfalls of AI? One thing I feel like I've noticed is maybe because some of AI has sped up ideas or production or things like that. I wonder if some of the younger generations I'm seeing, there's less thought behind the image because it's so easy to create an image now. Again, just talking about the top of the iceberg. But
yeah, but that's kind of the equivalent of having parametric design now doesn't allow you to CAD things manually, room by room. So you're not forced to think more about it. I think all technology there is to simplify things, and if you're lazy, you will cop out and you will lose thought in it. But that's not applicable, it's not relevant because that's a logic that applies to everything. It's like, yeah, this technology made something easier, but there are people that's lazy and they're going to use it lazily and there's going to be lack of thought behind it.
Yeah.
But that's not relevant to us who we are the curators of important thoughts. As architects, I believe the thing we uphold the most is the thought behind it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what technology comes in front of us. We will interrogate it full force from ethical perspective, sociological perspective, and environmental perspective. And we will debone every technology to really figure out whether it's there for the benefit of each of those aspects or not. And so if it is, then we will use it for that reason. But we uphold those standards and criteria. So it's not relevant if it makes it easier or faster.
Let's finish off with a couple, looking broadly out on the horizon. What do you feel, now you've experienced with your own practice, looking out in the industry, I see a lot of big firms out there moving a little bit slowly with this stuff. Do you think we're going to see big changes in the industry, particularly around architecture practices, and how so?
Yeah, I think because of how revolutionary this technology is, it's gonna be kind of like when AutoCAD was introduced. At first, a lot of people will be reluctant. A certain few will gain a huge advantage over it. But over time, everyone's going to be forced on it because the ones that don't just simply cannot compete with the ones that do. I mean, when rendering becomes so simple with a click of a button, why would you go through a traditional method? If you could prompt your way into a fully fledged CAD plan that resolves everything you need just by describing your needs, why would you spend hours upon hours working CAD line by line to generate those things? So I'm talking a bit more distant future where that things is automated. Yeah, it's just industry is competitive. So you either adapt or you will be replaced by the companies that adapts this technologies first. It's just one of those things that it's not like parametric design, for example, because most firms could get along without it. Most designs don't need parametric. You need to fit a roof, you need to build a ceiling that's all straight and flat rectilinear, and that's fine. You could sketch up everything, draw boxes and push and pull, easy to do. And a lot of firms stick to SketchUp and things like that, and then afterwards it goes straight to AutoCAD. Very standardized units. But what if this technology isn't about creating bioorganic forms for the niche 1% of rich clients, but it's a technology to replace your entire work process for every single type of architecture? Then yeah, it's going to be causing quite a stir and disruption.
Do you think the age-old question, like architects will be replaced by AI, do you feel that's true? Are we going to see less architects working in the industry? Are they going to be replaced by architects using AI?
Yeah, I want to be comprehensive to answer this because I don't want to cop out and say, oh, AI is not replacing us. Someone using AI is going to replace. Overused words, but let's break it down because there's a distant future and there's a near future, and I think I have different answers for each. In the near future, yes, architects that will work with AI is going to replace the ones that don't, and we've very much made ourselves more efficient and competitive. We're competing with the big names, like our clients. We know we're competing with literally the big names at same projects, so it's pretty incredible. But distant future, I just have to answer that I don't know, because honestly, the information revolution is the final revolution. Like the Industrial Revolution, sure, machines replace physical labor. We're done. We're not doing physical labors anymore unless you're economically not able to afford machines. But the Information Revolution is humans' last resort. We are our brains. So I just can't fathom, post-AI era, meaning AGI and beyond, ASI, what is to say anything that we do cannot be replaced by AI or even AI in robotic bodies? I can't fathom any situation that makes us still needed in this production pipeline. I could see ourselves as curators and designers of our own world, so that we still take agency in design and creativity and where we want to be. We create worlds for people to be in. But even AI can possibly, understand our neurology better than us. I wouldn't dare to dismiss that possibility. So if AI could read our minds better than ourselves, people have like these deep thoughts and conversation with ChatGPT and they cry about it. It's like, it's crazy, but that's where we are today. And that's just today. There's so many years ahead of us where we're going to be astounded by it. So sure, we could get it replaced, but maybe that's not for the worst. Maybe universal income will kick in and we'll just chillax and,
Everyone will be a YouTuber, just YouTubing about stuff.
Could be, but you will be AI generated. It will study your face and do
everything. But actually, I think that there could be something in, I think there's something actually in being a face now before the internet is flooded with.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're going to have a cesspool of just generated content. Dead internet theory is 100% what I believe will happen. And I do not know what we're going to do by then. But internet connectivity, everything is now going to be just transmissions of infinite data, infinite possibilities. Like, we're not really interconnected as we used to, human to human. But let's see, Meta's policies on AI is sometimes questionable. You know, they got like AI people.
Final question, what is exciting you right now on the horizon? It could be AI, it could be something else. Like, are you excited about something in particular?
Yeah, from the perspective of this company, the most exciting things are the big projects that we are about to launch. They are absolute projects that will be landmark and be built. And I think that will usher in a new era, at least for us as a practice. We started small and speculative. Most people are not aware of the breadth and the things that we're doing. And so the horizon, immediately, I would see the potential to grow big once we showcase what we're capable of to the world. If we tell people to walk inside our building and experience it for themselves, I think they will be more convinced about the capabilities of AI. And in the distant future, I am just looking forward to AI's progress as a whole, like anyone in every industry is. And this is way beyond just architecture and design. I think we're going to experience this revolution, you and I, and all of our viewers. Maybe they're already in that revolution and they're looking back in time. But I think we're going to see the biggest shift in human history. And that's going to be quite an exciting journey.
Exciting times, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
It's a pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Thank you guys for joining us once again on our Archi-Tech Tour. Great talk with Tim. Really interesting to see a young studio growing and the new projects that they're getting on board. As always, if you like this episode, give us a like and subscribe. The bigger the channel gets, the more offices we can get into. And of course, don't forget to check out our online courses. That's how we make our money, and that's how we continue to also grow the channel. So thank you for tuning in once again, and we'll see you on our next tour here in London.